And welcome to Jupiter, Florida. The STLSportsPage.com's continuing spring training coverage of Cardinals camp. And last year we had such a popular feature on our next guest that we decided to bring him back for an encore. And that's our good friend Brian Garner, who's with us at our home away from home here in Jupiter, Florida, the Palm Beach Gardens Homewood Suites. Brian, thanks for joining us.
Oh, pleasure. Good to see you again, Rob.
Always a pleasure to be in spring training. I always say it's my favorite time of the year, and I know that you get out there and see all the Cardinal games that you can. What's your impressions of the team so far?
Well, we've seen a whole lot of games. We've been down here about 10 days. Our plan is, the family's down here, so we're going to see about 11 games in 12 days in 4 different cities. We flew in the other day to Orlando and saw the Braves and the Cardinals, came down here to Jupiter, and then Sunday we're going to get up, or after the game Saturday, we were up at Port St. Lucie. After the game Saturday, we're going over to Sarasota and watch the Cardinals play, then come home and we'll fly home on Monday. So getting to see a lot of the young baby birds, as well as some of the veterans, and been a good time so far.
I know you're a veteran of coming down to spring training, and one of the things that obviously everybody who comes to spring training tries to do is collect some autographs. And you see the line out there outside the dugout. You see it at the parking lot. The guys with baseballs, the guys with hats that everybody's trying to get a name on. But you've got kind of an unusual way that you collect the autographs, and I know that was such a popular feature a year ago. So let's tell us, in case you didn't see it last year, tell us again about how you collect your autographs.
Well, we've been coming down here about 10 years, and my family always comes with me. And my son and daughter would get in line and try to get some autographs from somebody. And a couple of years ago, Kurt says, "Dad, get him to sign your leg." I've had an artificial leg from a birth defect since I was 4. And he goes, "Get him to sign your leg." So I would throw my leg up on the fence the first year, and I got Loesch, Jake Westbrook, and Carlos Beltran. And then I kind of added to it a little bit and got some other veteran guys, like got Descalzo and Robinson, John Mozeliak, a couple others. And the most interesting thing that happened that time was when I threw my leg up on the fence at Carlos Beltran, he kind of looked back at me like, "Really?" But he was gracious enough to sign it. So, then every year we kind of try to add to it and, and get a few more.
And I know that we're going to get a closer look at some of the autographs here in a minute. But actually, you had so many that you had to get a start leg number 2.
Well, this started 3 years ago, and that leg that I had then was so old it had like 4 million miles on it, and it was falling apart so much that I couldn't wear it anymore. So I started wearing this other one, and then the tradition continued. And then I was able to get like Jason Mott and a few other guys. And little by little, we kind of add 2 things. Now, 2 years ago when I got a few more, one of the cool things was the Rainbow for Kids charity that you guys are a part of allowed me to get Matt Carpenter, which was really cool. So that was a real treat for me 2 years ago.
I know one of the autographs that you had to have, you felt on your leg, took a little effort on your part to get it, was Chris Carpenter.
That was unbelievable. My daughter spotted Chris Carpenter. Our seats are down the right field line near the Cardinal bullpen. My daughter spotted Carpenter down behind the plate. I kept my eye on Chris for a couple innings. I hate to bother people, but I thought, boy, that would be so cool to get Chris on my leg. So I went down there, waited a couple innings by the exit where he was sitting, and the Cardinals got the first 2 outs. Then a guy gets on. Then a guy walks. They bring in a relief pitcher. Finally, they got the 3rd out, and I jumped up, ran into the section where Chris was sitting, put my leg up on the fence. I said, "Chris, pardon me, could I bother you for a second?" And he looks at me. I go, "Would you mind signing my leg?" Sure enough, he goes, "Sure, I'd be happy to." That was a treat getting Chris Carpenter.
Visiting with Brian Garner and about his autograph collection here at the Homewood Suites Hotel. Our continuing spring training coverage brought to you by the Homewood Suites, as well as Duffy's Bar and Grill, and our back home sponsors, Weber Chevrolet and the Drury Hotel chain. And I think, too, one of the things that's interesting about your collection is that a lot of people who collect autographs, they go after like some of the older players, the former players, but you're more interested in the guys that are playing out there now.
Absolutely. Now, I probably have almost half the Cardinal team, but a couple autographs that I kind of cherish more than any. I am a huge Whitey Herzog fan. I was able to get Whitey on my leg. And then a couple others I got, I'm a big fan of sports writers. I was able to get Tim Kirchin, and 2 that I really wanted, and I got one last year, was Rick Hummel. And he goes, I'd be honored. So that just tickled me. He says, where you want me to sign? I said, honestly, you're a Hall of Fame guy. I want you signing right by Whitey's name. And to be very honest, there's one other autograph that I'm after this year, and the opportunity has presented itself. I have followed you for a long time, and when we get done, I would be honored if you'd sign my leg next to Rick and Whitey, because I've been a fan of yours for a long time. But those, non-players, I'm thrilled to death to have those.
Well, very kind words, and I appreciate it. And of course, I'll be happy to sign. What is there anybody else that you haven't got yet that's on your bucket list of people you want to get?
Well, again, because of the Rainbow for Charity auction that goes on, Colton Wong was here last night, and I got Colton to sign my leg, which was another huge thrill for me. If I could get one other Cardinal player that would really tickle me to death, it'd be Matt Holliday. Matt's been my favorite since he's come here. I mean, everybody wants Waka and Wainwright, granted, but boy, if I could get one player that I really want, modern day guy, it would be Matt. Love to have that. So we'll see what happens.
Was Beltran's the most interesting reaction of anybody that you've had and asked to sign your leg?
Honestly, yeah, because the fence out on the practice field is pretty high, and when my wife prodded me to get in line, and when I got over there, I said, Carlos, I have a special request. So I stepped back and threw my leg up on the fence. Well, it's made out of wood and fiberglass, and when it hit that galvanized pipe, it made the awfulest noise, and it kind of scared him, and he was kind of startled, but it kind of took a second. Sure, and then he signed it. So that was actually the most interesting. Trevor Rosenthal last year was a treat. I got him and Kevin Segrist. And another humorous thing that happened when I got Jason Mott last year, he goes, thank you for serving, sir. We appreciate your service. And I said, well, actually, I'm not a veteran. Because some guys might think, rightfully so, that I might be a veteran. But it was kind of funny that it happened. Beltran was the most funny story that happened about somebody signing.
Well, we appreciate you sharing the story, not only with our listeners a year ago, but also the new ones are just tuning in and finding out about the story. And I'm sure they're going to see it at the ballpark, see it down in spring training, and you'll know the story when you run into Brian and see his leg and see all of his autographs. So for Brian Garner, Rob Raines reporting from Jupiter, Florida for STLSportspage.com.